Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. We might be. We could be. It looks like we may have made it to another episode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Tonight is a very special night for a bunch of different reasons here. This is the freshest episode we have had of the year, the freshest card to talk about this year. We have got so much going on this evening. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Before we get too deep into it here, as like most days, I would like to take just a quick second here and welcome my combat compatriot, my Wednesday night homeboy, my brother from another mother, the one and only Golf T Vapes for sitting octagon side across from me here. How you doing this evening, brother?
Fantastic. Ready to get this dog and pony show on the road. Talk some shit and tell people why they're fucking wrong.
Hell yeah. So, as like most weeks, we may have a few extra guests pop in. We may not. It all depends on how their schedule works out. But either way, we're going to dive right into it here. So, like we do around here, first and foremost, right at the tippy top of the show, before we get into the news and recent events, for those of you who are wondering how our turnabouts and predictions from last week's card came out, you're going to have to go ahead and tune in or watch the replay. There's the words I'm looking for. Watch the replay of this past weekend's What Did I Say show, where I go over all the results of all the fights that mattered, everything that we talked about, all the shit that we predicted. I let you know how it all shook loose and what implications that might have. So if you're looking for the recap section, that now has its own show. Mixer.com/The Meter Does Things is where it goes live every Sunday. If you can't tune into that Mixer for some reason, I also upload that show back over here to YouTube, but you have to wait till Tuesday night to catch that one. So recaps are now officially their own separate thing. So what we generally do, and we're going to stick with here, is the news and recent events segments, the fight announcements, and the crazy shit that has happened since the last time we saw you fine folks. So we have got some insane fight announcements and a couple interesting call-outs that I want to take a quick moment to mention here. First and foremost, before we go any further into the fight announcements, I did mention it on the What Did I Say show this last weekend, but it bears repeating, so I am going to say it again here for you fine folks. We had two big announcements during or right around the time we went live last week, so they didn't get mentioned on the show, but they are absolutely relevant to the current situation we are talking about here. The first thing is the UFC, while she was doing promotion for the UFC Washington, D.C. card last week, released Liz Carmouche from her contract. She was literally doing photo shoots with veterans in Washington, D.C. for the UFC, and they released her from her contract. That's low even for Dana.
This one, I'm pretty pissed about this one for more than one reason. The UFC is supposed to be the premier fighting organization with the best fighters. Her last fight was for a title. Now, she's not going to win that title from said individual, guaranteed.
Right.
But she is at any given times in that weight division, at least a top 5 fighter.
Well, she was 4-0 before she fought for the title.
Yes.
She was on a 4-fight win streak, fought for the belt, lost, and then while doing promotions for the fucking company 4 months after the fight,
here's the catch. That was not a paid promotions. They said, hey, as part of your contract, you need to get out here. She paid her way for all of that shit. She got whatever per diem for food or whatever. But to do it while she's doing that, making face for the company, and to not even tell her directly, that trickled down through news sources to get to her. Nobody reached out to her.
Yep.
UFC, scumbag fucking move.
Yeah.
Whoever was doing matchmaking decided, why would you pull that person? Look, I'm telling you, she's going to take her ass right over to Bellator, make 4 times what she was making, and probably have a pretty good shot at fucking earning the title over there. In fact,
but either that or she's going to go to PFL and hold down the 125 in PFL and get herself $1 million every fucking year for it.
Yeah, and it's still going to be making more than she was in fucking UFC because, to be honest, and not to mention, did they forget? She is also a mainstay in the UFC for one and one reason only. Part of the first women's fight in UFC history.
Literally, the first fucking one.
That's it. What a scumbag move on their part. So disappointed in the way that happened. Look, you could have done 1,000 other things wrong during that, but that's the one thing you don't do. You at least have the common courtesy when you're going to give somebody their walking papers, let them know in advance. Don't let them be on some shit.
Or do it face to face like a fucking adult.
Yeah, you're not even paying them for. They paid their own way to get there. Just saying, there's some shoddy shit going on there. And who the fuck's idea was it? Oh, we need to cut her. She just went on a 4-fight streak, lost to the champ. Look, I get it. We all heard what she said between rounds. The whole I quit thing. We had this conversation. Yep. Look, that is what it is. That's long gone. Still, top 5 fighter, period. I'm just saying, they fucked up and they did some really shoddy business practices there. Look, I get the whole, it's a business thing. But at the same time, your job as an organization is to actually face with your employees, especially when there's high caliber as Liz Carmouche's. Whether she had that brief moment in mental lapse of, I quit, I can't do it, whatever. That is what it is. That's long been past. They need to get their shit together.
Well, even more than that, Liz has done a couple of smaller interviews since that happened. She was on Ariel's show Monday and said that the UFC hadn't even thought so far ahead as to tell their own people that she was doing promotions with that they were letting her go. She got a text message from a journalist and then another text message afterwards from her manager that said that they had just gotten off the phone with the UFC. And she said after she went and took the phone call and talked to her manager and found out what was going on, when she came back, she watched the faces of the UFC employees that were there with her as they got their messages to let them know that she had just been let go. And they were doing promotions with someone who no longer worked for the company. There's a whole lot of scumbag moves that you could do, but not even to tell the people that she's doing the promotions with that she's about to get let go. That this might be one of the lowest things that Dana and the UFC has done. So that needed to be said because that's something that may not, because of her loss against the champ in the last fight, might not get as much exposure as it needs to. But this is one of those things that people need to be aware of, that just because the UFC is the predominant combat sports organization in the Western world is far from any reason for you to think that they're the best, that they take care of their people the best. And this is a shining example of exactly why they've been trying for so many years to set up a fighters union so that they can't have shit like this happen when they're literally working for the company. But we'll save the union talk for the next time the next round of it comes up. Also announced right at the same time that we found out that Liz Carmouche was let go, they also let Renan Barão out of his contract, released him from the UFC. Now, it's a little bit of a different story with Renan Barão. He's on a 5-fight skid. He's not doing well. He's one of those that we saw do really great, but has been obviously nosediving his career for the last couple fights. That's a little bit different. He didn't have a fight booked. He didn't have any prospects going on. He's out of camp, out of competition right now. That's how you let a fighter know he's no longer going to be employed with this organization. When there's nothing going on, he's not doing promotion for you. He's not straight out of fucking camp. He's not coming off of a title attempt. That's how you let a fighter go.
Yeah. Well, at least they got one of them right. Unfortunately, it was the wrong one. Look, I would have been all right with the release of Renan Barão on his last skid, but if you're going to,
it's more understandable.
Right, yeah, that one's a lot more understandable. Generally, the way I look at it, it's usually you go on a 3-fight skid, you're gone. That's generally they generally tend to have that 3-strike rule, with the exception of a few fighters.
If you hit the 4th strike, you're being given leverage, and the fourth is always the last one. So
yeah,
I can understand Hannon a little
five.
more.
I think that's just because he had a name behind him at one point.
Yes,
And he
absolutely.
was doing good things at one point, but
Yeah.
why the fuck would you not do that to him, but you do it to somebody else who was on a 4-fight win and then just lost to the champ status? Seems a little ass backwards, but you know.
I agree. But, you know, that's how it goes with Dana sometimes.
Maybe they should have sent him on promotion and give him his walking papers too.
Yeah, no shit. But the other thing, the last little thing that I wanted to talk about real quick that I mentioned on the recap show this weekend that absolutely bears talking about here. Last weekend, we had talked about how a federal judge had officially thrown out the rest of Mark Hunt's case against the UFC, which is a whole different set of fucked up. They knew what they were sending him into. There's records that they knew what they were sending him into, and they did it anyway. And then they fucked him, and then they fucked him in the court case afterwards. Well, in typical fashion, par for the course of what we're talking about Dana's bullshit moves are, we also found out Friday that not only did they get the rest of Mark Hunt's case dismissed against him, they have in turn filed a countersuit against Mark Hunt for $388,000 in legal fees for the first case that was dismissed. They fucked him. They knew they fucked him. They fucked him in court, and now they're trying to take away the money that he's made from them fucking him. They're taking extra on top of the fucking that they're giving Mark Hunt. Now, I'm not saying Mark Hunt's the greatest guy in the world. I'm not saying he deserved to win a gigantic case. What I'm saying is we knew that they fucked him. They had proof that they fucked him, and the UFC used the court to fuck him again. And now, after that, they're trying to just give him the final shaft right on through and take an extra almost $500,000 from him because he tried to call them out for fucking him. Dana's on a streak of being an epic level asshat this week, for damn sure.
That is indeed the case. It is one fucking after another, and they don't care who they spread the STDs to.
No, they really don't. At this point, they're just happy to be getting their jollies through. So, a couple of interesting fight announcements here. But before we get into the fight announcements, there were a pair of fight call-outs that seem to be making some traction. There's rumors that both of these call-outs have subsequently turned into contracts that are just waiting for both parties to sign and may actually become fights very soon. We may actually get the announcements for both of these within the next week or two before the end of the year, hopefully, if everybody's willing to put ink to paper here. The first one, after all of the recent shenanigans, up, down, weight, talking shit, not talking shit, being quiet, training Tyson Fury, Darren Till has now officially been called out by Uriah Hall. Not how I thought his Christmas list was going to go, but at the same time, not necessarily a bad fight because Uriah doesn't want to do it at 170. Uriah's not going to play in fucking welterweight, least of all, not for Till. Uriah is comfortable at 185, and if Till wants to play at 185, Uriah wants to be the next one that he has to get through to stay there. That could be very, very interesting. They're both big dudes. They both have long reach, but the level of experience difference between the two of those is literally night and day. Uriah Hall has been doing combat sports and MMA almost as long as Darren Till has been alive. So that, plus the fact that their styles are so night and day different for dudes being relatively the same size, could make for a very interesting fight. And I very much hope that contract gets signed. But the other one that was announced this weekend that I find a little more interesting, I think I would say, than the Darren Till Uriah Hall call out, Kelvin Gastelum has officially called out Robert Whittaker. Not just called him out, he has a card in mind. He wants to fight Robert Whittaker in UFC London. Now, being as how those two were originally supposed to go at it for the belt, and then everything that went down, and we ended up with the subsequent interim, and then Izzy just swept the fucking division out of the way. I think that's actually a really good fight. There are a couple other people that I would really like to see Robert Whittaker get matched up against, but I think first and foremost, Kelvin Gastelum has absolutely earned his right to get that shot, especially after wearing the fucking fake belt around his shoulder, doing the whole Colby Covington, I'm the champ now bullshit routine back then. I think we really need to see what would happen definitively between Kelvin and Whittaker now that we know that neither one of them can beat Izzy. So it's not like a victory for either one of them off this match is going to put either one back in title contention. But we now know that Izzy can beat the shit out of both of them. So I think it's a very good number 2 shakeup, as it were, to see where these two stand and let them get their bad blood out of the way.
Well, that's not a bad call out for a Gastelum, because after his loss to Till,
he needs
something. And that's, to be honest, that's a good, strong fight. And it was supposed to happen at one point.
Yeah.
For Whittaker, this is probably a good step too, because I mean, you were supposed to fight the man for the unification, and then everything else kind of fucking flopped into place. And
right.
I mean, there's, for those two, that fight just makes sense. It's not that it doesn't need to be a main event card for those two. Don't get me wrong, it can hold its own as a main event, but I really don't think that it needs to be.
I think I would rather honestly see that as the opening fight on a main event, or on a main card rather. Open a main card with that fight. I don't think that's main event material. Maybe when it was still relevant, cool. But now they've both fallen a step or two out of the limelight.
Co-main event at best.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Like, worst case scenario, let them premiere the fucking make them a premiere prelim fight, or an opening main card.
I couldn't say fuck them as bad as the opening prelim fight, because neither one of them deserve that at this point. At this point, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you.
If Kelvin loses this fight, if they make this fight and Kelvin loses, prelim premiere fights all day long, sunshine.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a pretty good call out, and I think it'd be an interesting matchup considering we're getting. Well, I can't say we're getting. They've matched again, Tony and Khabib. So I don't see any reason why they shouldn't put Kelvin and Whittaker back against each other. So we'll have to see if that one actually shakes out. The other, I guess it's not so much a call out as a stated intention. Aside from his regular cocksuckering duties that he's been participating in fucking fighters left and right this week, Dana actually did say one thing that I'm not going to say it makes sense, but I will say I can understand where he's coming from. He has said definitively, regardless of what anyone's feelings are about the matter, that if Khabib beats Tony and Conor beats Cowboy, then Conor gets his rematch for the 155 belt as the next fight for the two of them.
No, and no.
Yeah.
But that's Dana thinking with his wallet instead of actually matchmaking.
Yep. Well, and the ironic bit is that Brett Okamoto actually called him out on this, and he was like, I know I'm not the only one. A lot of people are wondering, but I'm going to ask you, which is another reason I love Brett Okamoto. He looked at Dana and said, but I'm going to ask you, how does this make sense as a 155 contention shot when they're both fighting at 170? How does it make sense for a victory at 170 to get you a title shot at 155? And Dana being Dana, he doesn't care what anybody thinks. The way that he sees it is that if they both win, this sets up a very big money and controversial rematch for another pay-per-view. If Conor loses, Conor eyes or angles for the Masvidal fight and stays at 170, lets the 155 dream go. I don't agree with it, but I can understand that because I can't say I understand it or I agree with it. I will say I can see where he's coming from on the caveat that if Conor loses, he doesn't get to go back to 155, period. If he wins and gets a 155 shot, then that knife has to cut the other way as well for me. If he loses, he can't go back to 155. He has to stay at 170. Because realistically, if Conor wants to play at 170, there's a whole new world of fucking great money matchups for him to fight at 170. But this bouncing back and forth shit and being the boy Holly Holmes is not fucking working anymore. And the fans are tired of it. So I can understand that if he wins against Cowboy, and it has to be a dominant fashion, it can't be a fucking decision. He's got to put Cowboy the fuck away. If he can do that, and Khabib can get past Tony, I can see the interest from a business point in making that fight. I'm not happy about it, though. And I'm a Conor McGregor fan. So,
look, I'm right here with you on this one. The one thing that I'm going to say, even if both of them win, I highly doubt that fight gets made. Khabib said he will not fight him again until he's had a streak. And I doubt, because Khabib, look, if as much as I dislike the way Khabib fights, he's very solid in his word, what he says he's going to do. I don't think they're going to be able to throw enough money at that man to make him fight him right away after that. There's no way in fucking hell.
I don't really think it would be a matter of money, though. Because this is basically Dana laying out the game plan. I think it's going to be one of those situations where if he wins, Dana's just going to flat out tell him, look, this is your next fight or we'll strip you. Not like they did. I mean, that's more than they gave Conor a chance when he had the 155 belt. He didn't get a chance to defend it. They just straight out stripped him.
And I really don't think it'll play out that way. I have a feeling that he's gonna have some sort of caveat and legal team in on it that says, yeah, no, not doing it. I told you he needs to win 3, 4, 5 fights before I'll even remotely think about it. And he said that on more than one occasion.
He did, but we've also seen Dana, though. We've also seen Dana, though, say, just because you're the champ doesn't mean you run the show. Yes, you have a say, but you don't get to pick and choose. So especially since Khabib has already very publicly been very difficult for the UFC to work with, I can see Dana making this a line in the sand like, look, dude, play the fucking ball or go play for somebody else, because he's very tough to work with. He won't do the promotions that you're supposed to do as a champion. And now he's literally trying to dictate the circumstances for his next matches. That's a little big for your britches, even if you are wearing that belt.
Just saying, I don't think it's going to happen one way, shape, or form. And to be honest, if Conor wins, I think he should stay at 170, not worry about going back down to 155. Go take that fight with Masvidal, because you'll make more money off of that than you're going to make off of the Khabib fight. Guaranteed. I mean, the only way you make more off the Khabib fight is if you throw another fucking dolly through a window.
Right. No, I think at this point, if Conor wants to do 170, Conor needs to stay at 170. We've seen too many times that going back and forth doesn't fucking work.
I want to know is why the fuck did they make the fight at 170 to begin with? Both of them were fighting 155.
Dana actually talked about that. Dana talked about that. Basically, that's part of the justification for if he wins, Conor gets his rematch, because the way that Dana sees it and the way that he was saying that he and Conor were talking about it, and he said Cowboy agreed with this, which is the only reason that I can sort of see it, is that they both consider themselves 155-pound fighters. And what this means at 170 is that they are 155-pound fighters that get lighter camps because they don't have to cut the weight to fight. And that way, if he wins, he's still a 155er beating a fellow 155er. They're just doing it without cutting the weight for this particular match. Like I said, I don't agree with it, but I can kind of see it to a little degree.
Yeah, see, for me, that doesn't even make no sense. If you want them to be 155ers, make them fight at 155, so that way they're having the same training camp back and forth every time that they go in. Because you give them this one little bit of fucking cheese out in front of them.
Right.
And it's going to fuck them on the next one.
Well, and especially with Cowboy, because Cowboy had originally said he was going to stay at 170 before the Till fight when he didn't do any fucking research, which is about the dumbest thing you can do before a fight. I love Cowboy, but that was the dumbest thing he has done since he signed with the UFC. He literally took a fight in a new weight class against an opponent he had no fucking idea about and didn't train on tapes of that opponent. And subsequently resulted in him getting his fucking ass kicked for it. Till worked Cowboy at 170, which is funny because then we saw Till get worked at 170. So I don't know. It's a whole weird situation right now. But moving along from there, we did get a very interesting announcement here for the February 15th New Mexico card. I don't know that this is the first time that has happened, but it is the first time that I am aware of it happening. We officially, as of yesterday, have a husband and wife competing on the same card. Mark and Montana De La Rosa are both going to be fighting on that February 15th card because they are both New Mexico residents. So not only is it a husband and wife competing on the same card, it is a husband and wife competing in a hometown card. I'm a big fan of both of the De La Rosas. I've been singing both of their fucking praises since they both got signed. We have seen both of them put on some great fucking performances. Now we've got them on the same card in their home zone, in their home territory. I think that is absolutely going to make the New Mexico card, which is already stacking up to be a pretty fucking interesting card, that much more interesting in my opinion.
Hell yes, that's moving everything in the right direction there. And
right?
Like I mentioned, making double history on that thing.
Right? Like I dig it. I'm on board 100%, man. I like it. They're putting a lot of the New Mexico fighters on that New Mexico card, and now we got the husband and wife De La Rosas. I mean, I'm fucking in. I like both of them. One more non-UFC announcement real quick, and then I've got another pair of UFCs, and we'll get into it here. We knew that it had happened. We knew that he had moved. We now have the official debut date. Sergio Pettis will make his Bellator debut on the January 25th card with that Cyborg title attempt. He's basically making his debut on one of the best cards that he really can. They're almost turning that January card into an ex-UFC showcase. I think maybe not so much for Cyborg, but I think definitely for Sergio, this is a great platform for him to really get the exposure the UFC never really gave him, in my opinion.
Oh yes, and the paycheck to go with it.
Absolutely. That's going to be the nice thing, is that he'll be able to have all his fucking sponsors back. No more Reebok bullshit for Sergio. So nice. But two more quick UFC announcements, and then we will jump into some meat and taters here. The first one, an interesting matchup. The following week from that New Mexico card, February 22nd, the Auckland, New Zealand card, where we will see Paul Felder and Dan Hooker fight. They have just added Karolina Kowalkiewicz, welcoming a new Chinese fighter, Yan Zhanyan, to the UFC. She is on a 4-fight win streak as a professional coming in here, so she's nothing to slouch. Her highlights look pretty fucking good. Karolina has definitely got her hands full because she is tap dancing on that very thin line of getting sent to Bellator herself with her couple of really, really rough performances coming out of it. And I love Karolina. She's a great fighter, but she is definitely on a fucking skid right now. And like we were just talking about, you don't get to ride skids in the UFC for very fucking long. So I'm not saying that, this is too ominous, but there's fucking background music and lightning is flashing outside the window. Something's about to happen here. Either you better win and get your shit in gear, or you better pack your bags, sweetheart, because they're going to send you down the fucking road. Now, the other one real quick. We knew there was a matchup coming for this guy. We didn't know who or how they were going to do it. After Corey Anderson shut him up, we knew that there would be a bounce back. It's going to be an interesting bounce back, as it seems here. So I'm talking about the Brazilian phenom, Johnny Walker, has now officially been matched up for the March 14th Brasilia card against one Nikita Krylov.
Ooh.
that is not anywhere on the radar that I saw as a possibility of a fight for him. But I think it's a spectacular matchup because Nikita is no fucking slouch and can pretty much run with generally anything Johnny Walker's going to throw at him. I think it's going to be pretty interesting because Nikita's one of those guys that he's lost and it hasn't broken him. And he's come right back and he's looked just as good in the next fight as he did the fight before that. Whereas this is going to be the first time we're going to really get to see how Johnny Walker handles defeat because he didn't just get beat. He got fucking beat. Now, can he come back from that? We know as a jiu-jitsu player, he lost matches and came back, but this ain't that. And this ain't the same spotlight you had when you were doing jiu-jitsu. This is the greatest stage for MMA in the West, the UFC. And you came in with a lot of hype, acted kind of like an asshole, and then got it handed to you. So now we get to see, is Johnny Walker really legit and was really just too focused on moving ahead and not looking enough at Corey Anderson, who is a legitimate threat in that division? Or did Corey really put the skids on that hype train of Johnny Walker? It's going to be interesting to find out, but one thing I'd be willing to bet is we don't see him doing the worm in the octagon again anytime soon.
If we're lucky, that'll stay that way.
I think regardless of how his fight goes, I think Corey humbled him at least a little bit.
He had to have at some point because that hype train got completely derailed and in a massive fashion.
Yeah, very aggressively.
It was gnarly to see. I mean, it was good to see, though, too, because that's another one of those cases of let's see how much we can stuff down your throat because we love the Contender Series.
That's right. That's right. Let's see exactly what we can make out of this. But that is all of the news and recent events that we have for this particular episode. So that will bring us into the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes in this particular episode. And
oh, shit.
The show got that much fresher, just like that.
Right. That's right.
I almost forgot one. Just because I think this is an honorable mention for news.
Oh, go ahead.
Thug Nasty signed a 4-fight contract.
That's right.
extension.
He did get a 4-fight contract extension. He just showed that
after that nasty twister. Ooh.
Yeah, you better keep that fucking boy on. Yeah, he's gonna be a star real quick
and
here.
Get him some fucking goddamn camo shorts.
Right? I don't understand it. Reebok, get on that shit. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Fresh 03 himself, here to get a little meat and taters action with us for this UFC 245 card here.
That's right. That's right. There's a couple of really, really interesting fights on this main card. So I'm like, there's one that I think it might live up to like fight of the year type hype. We'll see.
Definitely a possibility. So before we jump all the way into main card, we will start because this is a pay-per-view. Early prelims, then a main card. There are ironically, a couple of fights interesting enough to mention here on the earlies and the prelims here. First one I want to talk about real quick. Ironically enough, early prelims, Jessica I versus Viviana Araujo. We saw Jessica I get worked, and we called that she was not ready for the level of ass whooping that she walked into, and she proved us correct. On the other hand, Viviani is actually looking pretty fucking good. So if she can hold her streak going here, which I absolutely believe that she can, I think that this is going to be a springboard to get her up into the top 5 because I believe she's ranked number 7 right now. But for some reason, I is still ranked number 2. So I think with the performance that she's capable of doing against the lackluster that is Jessica I think Viviani is going to take this one, and I think she's going to send Jessica I on the fast track towards that Bellator highway.
I'm very inclined to agree with you on that after Jessica I's performance there with her title shot. And I say that loosely because it was not much of a fight at all.
Right.
There's the way she performed there made me wonder how the fuck she got the title shot in the first place. But We had already talked about that at one point, so it's like beating a dead horse on that one. Viviani, on the other hand, she's definitely making some big time moves in the division and is looking solid every time she's out there. So I'm feeling you're right. This is going to end up going Viviani's way, and we're going to see Jessica drop down to the fucking below the top 5. We're probably looking at like 7-8 after this fight.
I would hope a victory would swap them places realistically, because Viviani's been on a hell of a tear lately, and Jessica in my opinion, isn't top 5 to begin with. So I think with a good victory, swap their fucking numbers. Put fucking Viviani up at number 2. Let Jessica hold the bottom of the fucking top 10 down. See where she plays out down there if she gets to stick around. Next one real quick. This one somehow has slid completely under the radar, and I did not even realize that it was official. I had heard rumors. They were trying to put this together, but I did not know myself this was officially on the card until Tuesday of this week. This is a spectacular matchup. Brandon Moreno versus Kia Kara France. This is, in my opinion, one of the dark horse fights on this card. These two are so fucking neck and neck stylistically, size-wise, ability-wise, level of the UFC greenness, as it were. They're both fairly new fighters to the UFC. They both have incredible abilities, incredible fight IQs. They're both incredible grapplers, and they both have hellacious gas tanks. So this one is going to be a very exciting fight to watch. I don't know that it's going to make it either direction really lopsided. I've got it down on my notes here. Honestly, I think this one could easily come out and be a draw. They're that even of a matchup here. I really don't see either one of them having any particular skill or any particular edge that really might get the other. They're really both great fighters. They're great prospects. They're pretty evenly matched, in my opinion, and I'm genuinely pretty excited to see how that fight breaks down.
This is the one fight that I really I'm a little upset that they have on the early prelims. They should have been on the prelims themselves, because this is a fantastic fight. This would have been a great opener for that early prelims. Don't get me wrong. When we get to the prelims themselves, the other fight makes sense too, but just not as much to me, because this one has a lot more implications in the 125-pound division than the other does in its division. But
I agree.
I think in this fight itself, it's mostly 50-50 on the middle for me, except for one thing. That's so Car France here. He look who he's training with.
Yeah, is he officially a Behrman protege now? I know he was training with the crew, but I don't know if he's officially City Kickboxing now.
I think he is indeed, because he's been training with all the City Kickboxers. That's
the best gym on the planet. Like
right now,
I love Firas Zahabi, and TriStar is fucking spectacular, but Firas is getting a little crazy as he's getting a little older. And Eugene Behrman, what he's doing down at City Kickboxing is just unfucking believable. Everybody that they have put forth has been legitimate fucking star caliber. So,
and even if he's only training for them with this one fight, I think that can be enough to put him over the edge here. Because
that's what I was just going to say. If he's not official, he's training with them. So
the caliber of fighter that's coming out of City Kickboxing right now, fucking amazing. If you don't know, let's see, the champ, the style bender, you got Dan Hooker over there.
Yep.
You got just to train with those two. That's fucking just brilliant. I'm just saying. There's some gnarliness in that gym, and I think it's definitely going to wear off on him. To be honest, that's the only reason why this swings a little more in his favor for me on this. They're both still relatively green, but it's a toss-up except for that one thing, so I'd have to give it to him in a decision. I don't think either one of them finishes the fight, but it's definitely going to be a fucking war. They're both quick little bastards, that's for sure.
Fuck yeah. And like they say, steel sharpens steel, and that dude is sitting in a drawer full of fucking beautifully calibered chef's knives. So he's definitely, I agree 100%. If he's not full City Kickboxing, at least training there with the fucking badasses that they keep on the roster, it's definitely going to put him in the right fucking place going forward. So I think that is that's probably the most dark horse fight that I see on this card that people are completely sleeping on. That, though, will move us into the prelims here, the nice little appetizer, as it were, before we get to the main course. Just 2 fights that I really want to talk about on the prelims, and that, again, plays partly to what TJ just mentioned, the fact that they've got these fights ordered so weirdly on the earlies and the prelims here. The first one, though, it's hard to deny that this fight is not legend versus legend at this point. I am talking about Matt the Immortal Brown versus Ben Killa B Saunders. This is one of those fights that I'm not mad that we're seeing it, because it's still going to be a good fight. But 5 years ago, this would have been a main event. Both of these guys have legitimately put their time in and helped build the UFC to what it is today. The problem is they are both at that point where you see them starting to slow down a little bit, and they're starting to get achy while they're training, and stuff's not holding up as well, and they're just not full gas pedal to the floor 5-round kind of fighters anymore. They still do great things on both sides here, but they're both definitely starting to tiptoe towards that back 9 of their career. And like I said, it's still going to be a great matchup, but this far into their career, it really leads me to believe that, seeing how they've progressed, I can almost Mystic Max style call this, is that Matt Brown's going to spend the majority of the fight trying to land a hellbow, because that's what he's been talking about all fucking week in his promotions, while Killa B is going to try and get him to the ground and submit him using that 10th planted BJJ. Now, it's not that Matt Brown doesn't have the defense to stop that, or Killa B doesn't have the chin to take a hellbow, but at this point, like I said, I'm still going to watch the fight, but I think this is about as close as I'm willing to get to a Chuck Tito 3 situation. I think Killa B still has what it takes to get around Matt Brown, but I think realistically, it's time for both of them to start seriously considering their post-fight career plans.
Good God, yes. I'm 100% with you on that one. These two have been around for over a decade.
A decade worth of UFC fights. Like,
yeah.
Especially the fights that they've been in. Like, it's not like they've had easy roads. Like, some folks have had easy roads, you know. Both of them taken some rough fucking losses.
Fuck yeah, they have.
And both of them had rough losses recently.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I hate to, you know, you hate to see it. You hate to see it, but you know, it really would have main evented anything 5 years ago, but
yeah.
Still be a lot of fun. You know,
yeah, there's still potential.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fairly firm believer that BJJ holds up over age longer than striking does. So, you know, you inevitably lose some power, but I mean, Brown hasn't shown that he's lost that much power, so there's potential to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this fight ends up on the ground, and to be honest, I don't see this as being finished, though. I really don't. Unless Killa B's fucking rubber guard manages to pull some crazy shit out, which, look, it's 10th Planet. 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu has some strange shit. Yeah. I mean, we've seen Ben Saunders pull some crazy shit. I mean, who's to say he doesn't pull off something crazy like a Goga Plata? You don't see that in the fucking UFC.
That's what I was gonna say. He had an omoplata, 3 fights ago? He got an omoplata, so a Goga Plata here wouldn't really be out of the realm of possibilities at all.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's out there for him. You could definitely tell in his last couple fights he slowed a lot.
Yeah,
it's been kind of for me. I always come back to this when we're talking about these older fighters that are still fighting. For me, it's sad to see, because I remember seeing what a lot of these guys looked like in their heydays. Then a lot of the newer fans now, they didn't get to watch those. Like, when these guys were actually good, they're going to watch these as new fans go, how the fuck are these guys here?
Yeah, they're going to just see the grandpas in the fucking cage and be like, why are these guys wasting our fucking main event time? Because they didn't get to see the heyday that both of these two fucking had.
Yeah. But I think it ends up on the ground. And to be honest, if I have to side with something, I have to side with the BJJ on this. As much as Matt Brown still has knockout power, I just don't foresee that happening because Ben Saunders is great at managing distance and getting fights to the ground. I have a feeling that's where it's going to end up. Now, whether he submits him or not, or just rides it out, I have no fucking clue. But I don't think this finishes one way or another.
Definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility, especially with them both getting up there in age and mileage. It's definitely a possibility it ends up in the judges here. Last one I want to talk about here before we get into the actual meat and potatoes, as it were here. The prelim premiere nobody knew we wanted until we got it. Jeff Neal versus Aluminum Mike Perry. Now is the time to see if that fucking nose job holds up. Granted, he got it for free either way, and if they fuck it up, they'll give him a new one for free. But we get to see here if Aluminum Mike has really actually learned anything, because over the last 2-3 days specifically, we have already seen Mike Perry essentially disregarding Jeff Neal in favor of the chance to call out Colby Covington, hoping that he loses so that he can fight him next, because there's been bad blood there between those two for a long time. Now, on one hand, I would absolutely love to see a matchup between Mike Perry and Colby Covington, so long as there's no fucking belt involved. But on the other hand, that shows that Mike Perry, for all of his other inadequacies, is willing to openly, completely overlook a very dangerous Jeff Neal and start talking about Colby already when he's got a hell of a fight in front of him. Jeff Neal is far from a fucking slouch and one of the very, very quickly growing contenders in that division, as long as he keeps putting on performances like he has been here. And it's going to be a very, very tough fight for Mike Perry here, because we kind of know Mike Perry's going to come in trying to swing and take your fucking head off. He doesn't really have much of a game plan besides that. He doesn't really have a whole lot of wrestling. He's got virtually no jiu-jitsu, and his fight IQ is pretty fucking remedial, for lack of a nicer term to use. I think realistically here, Aluminum Mike has gotten himself in a situation where he's going to get fucking crushed, and it's really his own fault. I have very little doubt Jeff Neal has all the skills and all the IQ he needs to beat the shit out of Aluminum Mike Saturday night, and I'm kind of hoping to see it happen that way.
That's you nailed the head, hit the head right on the nail right on the head. Jesus fuck, have some more whiskey here. No, Mike Perry's had a track record of doing this, looking past the fighter in front of him, and we say it over and over fucking again. Look at what's in front of you, not what's beyond.
Yep.
Because you know what? Your toughest fight in the UFC is always the one you're about to get in, not the one that you want down the road. Dude, you just had your fucking face smashed in, your nose rearranged from fucking Los Angeles to fucking New York City, from one side of your face to the other, and you're worried about what's in Beijing right now? Get the fuck out of here, dude. You're about to get crushed. Your nose is about to be flown from New York, where it landed, and put back in fucking Centerville, Ohio, to now going to be down south somewhere, fucking probably Chile, because you want to look past it. Well, I'm just saying, if you like having your face rearranged, why don't you go ahead and keep doing on the track you're doing? Maybe while you're at it, you can get them to remove that stupid tattoo above your fucking eyebrow. But don't look past Jeff Neal. That dude's no walk in the park. Have you seen what he's been doing? He's been mauling people. This Jeff Neal, hands down, no doubt about it. I think he finishes him with inside of 2.
I can see that. I have an inclination it might see the third round, just because Jeff Neal might take a little time to toy with Mike, because we all know Aluminum Mike has no fucking gas tank. If you can get him to burn energy in that first round, he's literally going to be huffing and puffing and wheezing come round 3, which would make it that much easier for Neal to just fucking showboat and pop and put him away. But I think there's a good chance for a second as well.
I like where the third round thing is, and maybe it's just because he does want to rearrange his face a little bit more for him.
Right.
Maybe we'll get lucky and he'll just cut that fucking thing right off his forehead with an elbow. Fuck it.
Right? Stranger things have happened. Oh, but that is all the appetizers that we've got, which will bring us to the meat and potatoes section of the evening, the main card. And oh, is it a juicy main card this weekend, ladies and gentlemen? UFC 245 live from Las Vegas T-Mobile Arena, the final pay-per-view event of the year. 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 belts on the line this coming weekend here. So with this card, there's no mess, there's no fluff, there's no bullshit. So we're going to stop right at the top here. Peter Yan versus Uriah Faber. The California middle-aged man has come back to the UFC, and they are not throwing him any fucking easy.
No, they're not.
That Ricky Simon fight was controversial at best. I can and have expounded on my thoughts on that fight. The recap talked about it a little bit too here. I'm not even going to get into that, but what I will say is that we have not seen anything from Uriah Faber, not in the Ricky Simon fight, not in his previous fight, his retirement fight, not in 5 fights before that. That leads me to believe that he's anything more than another aging, used to be great fighter, still clinging on to that hope that he's got enough greatness in him to make a run at the title again, because he's already said he's not here to hang around. He's not here to do a bunch more fights. He wants another shot at the title, and if he can't do it, he's going to go completely away.
Yeah.
I was really hoping Ricky Simon was just going to send his stupid middle-aged ass right on back, but there was all that shit. The difference here, Ricky Simon is still fairly young in his UFC career. Now, Peter Yan is as well. The difference is the styles here. Ricky Simon is more of a grappler, a sprawler. He's got some striking, got a decent fight IQ. Peter Yan has some striking, has some grappling, but he's a fucking powerhouse down in that lower weight class. He has got a fucking right hook that will send those 135-pound brains into the fucking 3rd row. And I am hoping with all of my fingers and toes crossed that we see Uriah come in taking this fight as lightly as he's been saying that he's been taking this. Because if you listen to Uriah over the last week or two doing the promotions for this fight, he's basically completely overlooked Yan. He's talking about his future plans and his title run that he's going to put himself on now with this victory. He's doing the same fucking thing we just talked about Mike Perry doing. And we say it every fucking time one of these guys does that. The dumbest thing you can do going into a fight is overlook the fight you're going into. Yeah. Plan all you want later on after the fight. But until that fucking fight is over, the only thing you should be focused on is the guy or girl you're getting ready to step in across. Mm-hmm. This situation, we've got one of the strongest upstarts in the UFC in Peter Yan, and I have a very strong feeling we might see him put the middle-aged California kid on his ass this weekend.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I watched this fight. This is the guarantee I can make. I have not seen Uriah Faber win a fight in the last decade. I have not seen it. Every time there's a hyped up fight with Uriah Faber, I'm like, all right, California kid. All right, let's see what he's got. If I actually sit down and watch this fight, which I intend to do on Saturday, Peter Yan's going to win, because I don't know that I've ever seen Uriah Faber actually legitimately win a fight since he was like 23. So, I mean, it's going to be Uriah's got the style that could give Yan some trouble. Because Jan's gonna want to keep it on the feet, throw as many haymakers as he can at him. Uriah, try and take him down, sprawl it out, get some points on the mat, look for some sort of a submission that may or may not come. Right. I don't know that he's got enough left in the tank to really take him out. But I mean, the way I look at this, it's me. Like, Uriah Faber's like the same age I am. It's like me trying to go out there and throw fisticuffs with like a 23-year-old. Like I could get a couple shots in there. I could probably get a couple shots in there, but most likely I'm probably gonna get a brick to the head, and that's exactly what I think Uriah is gonna get. Is that fucking Peter Yan right-handed fucking brick to the head? So
Yeah.
Uriah Faber, I wish you luck. You've been entertaining. You've entertained the shit out of me watching you get the piss beat out of you for a while. But yeah, it's I just don't see how Uriah gets it unless he slips in some sort of lucky submission. I just cannot see him taking this. I'll take you on in the first.
Nice.
Yeah, this is one of those few times where I can say there's 100% consensus here on everything. The only thing that I would say other than that, with all due respect and everything that Uriah has done for the sport and the tear that he had in his 20s going into his early 30s.
When he was still the California kid, legitimately.
Yeah, when he was legitimately still the kid. At this point, I don't know why he's not the non-dad bod dad at this point, but whatever.
California surfer dad.
To be honest, at this point, I wish when he had the retirement fight, that would have been the end of it. Just like all of these other aging fighters, when it's your time, it's your fucking time. Put your own self out to the pasture. Don't let Peter Yan do it for you. Because that's exactly what's going to happen here. As much as I would like to play devil's advocate here, I do not see a feasible way to play devil's advocate on this and say, yes, Uriah has a chance. No, he really fucking doesn't. The only thing there is a chance of in this little small section of the globe that night is going to be 100% chance of fucking sleeping. And somebody better bring Uriah a pillow and a blanket. That's all I'm saying.
Hell yes. So now that will move us to kind of the opposite, the way that I feel about that Moreno-Kayakera France fight. This is kind of the non-dark horse. I don't even know what a good opposite for a dark horse fight would be. Maybe the most overhyped fight on the card. Marlon Magic Moraes versus the King of Rio, Jose Aldo. Now, this is a very weird fight for a number of reasons here.
Yes, it is.
I think my biggest problem with this fight is that they gave it to Jose as his introductory fight to the 135-pound division. That's right. This is a bantamweight fight. Marlon Moraes did not go up. Jose Aldo has cut from 45 and 55 all the way down to 135. And if you have seen him during the promotions for this week, he looks probably the worst I have ever seen him in 10 plus years of watching him fight. He legitimately looks like a fucking skeleton right now and won't even tell anyone what he weighs right now, just that he's confident he'll make weight on Friday. And I use air quotes on that because I don't fucking believe him. I don't know that he will make it to Friday's weigh-ins as hard as he's looking. And if he does, he better fucking hope that he can chug electrolyte water until they walk him out to that cage Saturday, because he looks absolutely fucking terrible. Yeah. And to his credit, Marlon Moraes understands exactly what Jose is trying to do, and as a fellow Brazilian, respects what he's doing, but is not going to step back. And I think it's weird because the last time we saw Marlon, he fought for the fucking belt. He's still the number one contender and a very dangerous man, even if we saw him for whatever reason turn off in the second round of that fight against Henry. We know based on the first round and his previous fights what Marlon is fucking capable of here. Look what he did to Sterling. He set fucking Aljamain into orbit. He took that dude's fucking soul. But now we're looking at a Marlon who got his chance at the belt, had his chance at the belt, fucking beat the shit out of Henry in round one, and then somehow between round one and round two, flipped the switch in his brain and just shut completely off and let Henry end his chance at gold. Now we've got a shrunken Jose Aldo coming down in his first fight at 135 without ever having even made 135 before, is the previous title challenger.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I almost feel bad for Jose in this situation. Like, I completely respect that he's trying to do as well, but I don't think it's going to work. I think Marlon is too comfortable at 35 to give Jose the leeway that he would need to make this his kind of fight. I think Marlon's going to start you.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those fights where it's like Jose Aldo is he's so fucking good. Like, he is so fucking good, but like that sort of a weight cut is just absolutely ridiculous. And like the whole premise of this, like when I was doing my research for the fight is can he survive that cut? Because Jose Aldo is that fucking good if he can survive that cut.
Yep.
I don't think he can. Like 20 pounds is like that's like he had to come to like his normal weight is he's probably walking around like 170.
Yeah.
So, you're coming down from 170 to 135. You're looking at a 35, like a possible 35-pound cut. Like,
and not a long cut at that. Like, we saw him 2 months ago walking around normally. This isn't a situation where he had a 4-month camp and legitimately tapered his body structure down to be able to fight at this weight. Like we've seen, like BJ Penn did back in the day, like some other fighters have done. This ain't that. No.
This is, oh, there's a shot down there waiting for me, Big Daddy. Like, okay. Like like these two both love putting on a show. That's what I will say about this fight. It's gonna be a good fight. Like I just don't see the power, the speed. I don't see anything surviving that cut. That sort of a cut. I just can't see it. Especially with as bad as he's looking.
Yeah.
Like the last time we saw somebody walking around like a fucking skeleton, they got absolutely cremated. And it was over. Yep. And I don't want to see Jose Aldo go down like that. I legitimately like Jose Aldo. He seems like a pretty cool guy. Yep. You listen to his promotions. He's never. Well, I mean, he runs his mouth, but not to the point where you're like, fuck that guy. Then we'll get to that guy in a little bit. But anyway.
Yes, we will.
But I mean, Jose. I mean, every fighter that's ever fought him respects the shit out of him because he always puts on a hell of a fight. He always puts on a great performance. It doesn't matter who he fights. It doesn't matter what the result is. He just goes balls to the wall, and he's going to do it in this. I don't know if his gas tank survived. I don't know if his strength survived. I don't know if his speed survived. And I got to give it to Marlon because Marlon he lives at this weight.
Yep.
So
yeah, this is his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, Aldo's going to have reach. Aldo's going to have, he's going to have all sorts of things working for him. But it's just you can't cut that. You can't cut that much weight and that quickly and just have a fantastic. I mean, it's going to be a good fight. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying it's not going to be a good fight, but it's good. It's not going to be the fight that we expect out of Jose Aldo.
Yeah, it's not going to be the fight we wanted to see.
Yeah, yeah. If these two had fought at like 145.
I agree. I was thinking the same thing. I would have been perfectly happy if Marlon would have come up to 45 and fought Aldo at 45 to put himself in the top 5 of featherweights, which I think legitimately, I don't think Marlon should be playing down at 135. I think Marlon's got the power and the speed. If he goes up to 45 and increases his power that much more, I think he's got a way better shot of being legitimate at 145 than he does at 35. But I still respect the shit out of him for staying there and then taking that Jose Aldo fight. So
I kind of imagine that call. Like, you want to fight Jose Aldo? Where at? 135? Fuck yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
I'll beat the piss out of a living legend. It's okay. I don't mind. Like
what I want to know is how much of his purse is Jose gonna have to give to fucking Marlon on this, because there's no way he fucking makes weight. And if he does, look,
that's be fucking incredible.
Go look at the face-offs from today that they did, or from media day.
Yeah,
he looks like fucking Skeletor.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Aldo. He's always got those great big old shoulders, and it's just not there.
Yeah. He was wearing a fucking black leather fucking jacket with the hood up, so nobody could see the rest of his fucking head. Just this itty bitty little piece of his face. You could see his cheeks sunk in. He honestly looked like a starving kid in Ethiopia. I'm surprised his stomach wasn't distended.
Right. Well, even Ariel said this is the most gout he has seen Jose Aldo in 12 years of covering his fights.
That's, for me, it's, look, he's an amazing fighter. He's going to put on a show no matter what. Whether he makes the weight, if he doesn't. But this is that dangerous weight cut shit that we were talking about on more than one occasion. Look, you walk around at let's say he does walk at 170. I don't know what his exact walking weight is, but he's cutting down 35 pounds. That's damn near 20% of his body weight.
10%'s dangerous.
Yeah, and he's doing it in less than 2 months.
Yeah.
That's really not fucking safe. I don't care what physician you're falling under. There is no physician that is going to okay that. I mean, no, you're fucking wrong. Look, the first thing that's going to go from this is going to be the gas tank. Guaranteed, because when you cut that much weight, your body's under enough stress that there's not going to be any gas there for you. I don't give a fuck how much Pedialyte you're drinking before the fucking fight. It doesn't matter. They can IV bag you at this point, and you're still going to be worthless as tits on a bowl.
Yeah.
Even though that's illegal now, but I'm just saying, if that option were still available, he'd still be fucking useless as far as gas tank's concerned. Don't get me wrong. He still has the skills to manage to get it done, but do I think he's going to with the lack of gas tank and the power that Marias carries at 135? No. As much as I want to believe in Jose, because I really do.
Yeah.
Fantastic champ, living legend, one of the greatest to ever do it. But doing this, worst career choice ever, in my opinion. Look, he didn't look bad in his last fight. He looked decent.
Yeah.
And look, don't get me wrong. For Jose looking at Marias after that second round fucking of the championship fight with Cejudo, going, oh, this dude just looks like shit in a second. Yeah, I'll take that fight even if I have to cut the extra 10. Meaning all I have to do is make it through the first 5 minutes.
Right.
And then I can take him out from there. I can understand that from Jose's perspective. But that's not the normal Marlon that we've been seeing. And I don't know if that switch is still flipped for him, which I highly doubt. I think that was just a fucking off night.
I think that was a lot of the lights getting to him, because that realistically, as much as we've seen Marlon, that was the biggest fight he's been in career-wise to date.
Yeah, by far.
I think he got a little show-struck when the second round hit him and he realized the significance of the fucking situation he was in. The gravity of it really set down on him, and I think he got a little deer in the headlights, and it was too little too late by the time he pulled his head out of his ass.
Yep. And so, to be honest, as much as I want to give this fight to Jose, I can't. I really can't. This can, in my opinion, can only go one way, and that's to Marlon, because what's going to happen is that gas tank of Jose is going to fade really quick, fast, and in a hurry, and he's not going to be able to deal. Look, we're used to seeing Jose break down after fights, whether it's win, lose, or draw. He's really going to break down after this fight. It's going to hit him twofold. One, I just took an L, and two, I potentially harmed the shit out of my body. Then there's the other factor in this. When you're doing these extreme weight cuts, you are way more prone to a career-threatening injury.
Mm-hmm.
Head injuries, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at Callie O'Kane. We just talked about a month ago. The fucking brainstem, what was it, a brainstem hemorrhage from a fucking weight cut.
And this is that same fucking thing, and that makes him way more susceptible to that. Fucking, if Marias lands a head kick on him or something crazy, that could be the end of fucking Jose Aldo's career.
And Marlon's got those snappy fucking head kicks too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, I hope that's not the case, but purely for maybe a little bit of personal reasons, because I would love to see Jose fight again. But on the other side of that, from the human being aspect of it, I don't want anybody fucking die because of this, because he made a poor choice. And why the fuck? This is another Daddy Dana issue. Why is he allowing this to happen? You dumb fucking bastard. You're cutting people when they shouldn't be cut, or not cutting them in the right way, and you're allowing fighters to do more harm to themselves than good. Your job is to make money for the company. You can't do that when you're allowing your fighters to injure themselves just by cutting way too much fucking weight.
Well, and this is also backing up a real fucked up premise that Dana has already kind of set and said unofficially that he's okay with by letting TJ make that fucking EPO'd up cut to 125 to try and fight Henry, where TJ should have never fucking been to begin with. 135 is enough of a hard cut for TJ Dillashaw before he was on the fucking sauce. Then even on the sauce, you saw how fucking hard that 125 was for him. Now they're going to let Jose, who always had a legitimate tough time getting to 145, but made it, go down to 135. And then next week, which we'll talk about more next week, but next week, Frankie Edgar is coming to fight the Korean Zombie on short notice to replace Brian Ortega at 145, and then has said that he is still going to take the fight against Corey Sandhagen in January at 135, his first time at 135. And Dana has said that if he makes it out of the fight next week, okay, he has no problem with letting that happen either. The fuck, Dana?
And all the rest of us are screaming, stop allowing these drastic weight cuts. Let people fight closer to their normal weight for health reasons, and to keep the fights more interesting that way. And the longevity of the fighter actually turns out better that way when you're fighting at your own natural weight class.
Yep. The natural recovery factor makes a huge difference. And they're taking it away by letting these extreme cuts go on.
And look, let's just say, for example, Jose wins this fight. He still ends up in the hospital that night getting double bags of IV fluids and everything.
Yeah, he's gonna be wired up on double IVs at the end of the night anyway, even if he wins. I agree.
Yeah. Like
fucking sad thing.
Like Friday, he's gonna be slurping as many electrolytes as he can, eating as many steaks as his body can hold.
Yep.
It's gonna be like the protein that he's burned through in his muscles. Because it's not like he was ever a big dude, even at like 155. Like he had those big old stacked shoulders, but I mean, like he's always looked like a slimmer dude in his fights. So I mean, it's cutting this much. I mean,
he never had fat to work with. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just and the body burns protein when it can't find anything else.
Yep.
And granted, it's an efficient fuel, but I mean, you've been burning it for how long?
Yeah, it's detrimental when you get to that point.
Yeah, that's the gas tank. That's the gas tank. The gas tank's gone. The power's gone. I don't like this fight. I don't think any of us here like this fight. I mean, I'm gonna watch the shit out of it, but I don't like it. I don't like how this all came about.
I think what bugs me the most about it, look, he just lost to the number one contender, the fucking Volkanovski. And why the fuck are you deciding to drop a weight class there? You were on a 2-fight streak until you lost that fight to who's now the number one contender that's about to fight for the belt.
The guy fighting for the belt. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You should not have made that cut. Look, he took you to decision. It wasn't like you got fucking finished in some devastating fashion.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it doesn't make no goddamn sense.
It feels to me a lot like the rebound girlfriend. Like, he broke up with 145 when it was ugly, and instead of going and fixing himself and working on what's wrong with him, he turned around and hooked up with the nastiest, dirtiest, easiest situation he could get into, and it's going to end up bad for him.
Yeah.
Like we've seen time and time again, the rebound fight should never be taken quickly, and it should never be taken lightly. And he turned around real fucking quick after that Volkanovski loss, signed a 135 contract, and now he's sitting in a real bad way. And I like Jose Aldo, and I don't want to see him get done dirty, but man, if they are not setting him up for a bad fucking failure this weekend.
Bunch of buddy fuckers, that's what that is.
Right. But
I mean, Dana still sees money to be made off of him. So I mean,
that's true.
History tells us anything. Dana's going to go where the paycheck is.
That's his favorite number is dollar.
Yep.
Oh, But that being said, that will bring us into the first of the triple header belt lineup that we have to close out the 245 show. The first of the 3 belts on the line we will see Saturday evening will be Amanda the Lioness Nunez against Jermaine the Iron Lady Durandame at 135.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is another one of those interesting fights because Durandame had the 145-pound belt until Cyborg came over. And then when Cyborg came over, Durandame relinquished her belt because she said long ago in Strikeforce that she will never fight Cyborg because Cyborg cheated and got caught using steroids. And as a matter of morals, she refuses to fight a cheater because it's been proven that even though they may be minuscule, there are proven long-lasting benefits from steroid users.
Yeah.
So on a grounds of morality, she refused to ever fight Cyborg. And when the opportunity came up that Cyborg came to the UFC for that 145 belt, she relinquished it rather than fight her and held by her word. So for that, I absolutely commend Jermaine Durandame.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, we then saw that stupid bitch get in the ring with Holly Holm and not be able to control herself when the bell rang. Not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times. 2 late strikes after the first bell, and then a late strike after the second bell. For someone with as much experience as Jermaine Durandame to play the moral high ground against Cyborg and then come out and do something that cunty, fuck all the way off, you dumb bitch. Now, on the other side of that, got Amanda Nunez, who essentially got hand-given that 145-pound belt when you saw the weight cut that Cyborg had to make, because that's something that a lot of people don't realize. Cyborg should never have been fighting at 145. Yes, that was her Invicta weight, but that was because Invicta would not let her do 55 or better at that point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Then, through all the fuckery with the Rousey situation and all the other Dana assholery, we ended up with Cyborg in the UFC. Like I said about the Durandame situation, then she subsequently ended up with the belt, and now Cyborg's got the 145-pound belt. And of course, knowing that that was a fight that should have been easy, and turns out it was, Amanda challenged and took it, and then became the first women's champ in the UFC, now holding the 135 and 145-pound women's belt.
Yeah.
Now, my biggest problem with that is that there are 6 women now that Cyborg has been cut in the 145-pound division. 4 of those 6 women also compete at 135 and only competed at 145 because they were offered a chance to for more money on an easier, quote-unquote, easier fight with less weight cut for them, because none of the 35-pound ladies walk at 35. Now we're in a situation where we've got Durandame getting another chance at a belt, albeit now it's the 35-pound belt instead of the 45-pound belt. And then we've got Amanda essentially getting gifted an easy fight for all intents and purposes, because despite the legitimately impressive resume that Jermaine Durandame has as a kickboxer and a Muay Thai fighter, and then prior to her 45 bullshit as a UFC fighter, she really doesn't have a whole lot of MMA experience, and the MMA experience she has isn't the same caliber as her Muay Thai and her kickboxing experience.
Yeah.
Then you've got Amanda on the other side, who's quite the opposite. She has some outside of MMA experience. She did some kickboxing. I believe she did some actual boxing as well, but predominantly her experience is MMA. This is her wheelhouse. This is her bread and butter. And being the 2-division champion, she's also shown that she's got the range to move up and down. Now we're getting a situation where she's essentially getting handed light work for another title defense. And it's not because there are no women ready to challenge for that 135-pound or 145-pound belt. We actually found out this week, Amanda originally wanted this contract for the 145-pound belt because that's the belt that Jermaine once held. She wanted to give her another shot at it. And that way it would also be Amanda defending 145 and then could be 135 with the next fight. That's not what we got. We've got it at 135, but I think even at 135 here, I think Amanda just has too much flat out power. I think Durandame is too far into that back nine of her career. I don't think she really has a ground to stand on. Now, we say it all the time, and I will say it here. she's got a puncher's chance, as everyone does, because every fight and every round of every fight starts on the feet. She is the Iron Lady because of her stand-up. But I don't think she has anything that would question Amanda's chin, and I don't think she has the power late into the fight to make Amanda worry about the end game either. I think this is going to be a very cyborg-esque fight, and I don't think we see the end of a second round if we see a second round. I think Amanda, and still very little question about it.
I would be surprised if there's a second round. Nunez, I mean, because she always comes out of the gate, and it's just a barrage. And it doesn't matter what the opponent throws at. It doesn't matter what the opponent hits her with. It doesn't seem like it matters at all. She just keeps going. And that's kind of the incredible thing about her. And she does, she's shown the versatility. She's shown she has a little bit of a gas tank. And she just doesn't let up until the other person's just completely down. The one thing, Duranime, I mean, there's always a gap between her fights. There's always a pretty decent sized gap between her fights because she's got other things in her life. So we don't know exactly what she's been training for. So I mean, there could be a surprise. There could be a surprise. All of a sudden she's breaking out. She takes a couple shots, works a takedown, and all of a sudden she's working a submission we've never seen her do. There's always chances like that with these fighters that have these long breaks and they have time to work on different parts of their game. They don't have to focus on just what this person's doing. I just kind of see this fight as Dana giving Duranime a shot to just kind of clear the books. That's all I kind of see this as. I don't think she has a chance of taking down Nunez. You said there's a fighter's chance. I don't know that with the shots that I've seen Nunez absorb and just keep going. I don't think Duranime has it in her to take her out. Nunez is fucking incredible right now. Fucking incredible.
It also just occurred to me, based on what you just said, about there being a gap in all of Duranime's fights, which is 100% correct. But it didn't dawn on me until now when you just said that the reason there's been such a large gap since the last time we've seen Duranime in the ring this time is because when she stepped out, she had both of her wrists operated on.
Yep.
This is going to be the first time we've seen Duranime in the octagon since she had both wrist surgeries done at the same time.
Yep.
And that's undoubtedly going to play a factor in this as well.
Yeah. I mean, she hasn't lost since she lost to Nunez. And it's just, you're going to lose to Nunez again. It's an inevitability at this point. Like, I don't know that there's anybody at 135 or 145 that could take Nunez out right now. Like,
not easily.
Yeah. I just don't see it. Just she's just that good. So, like, I don't see the fight going any other way. Like, it could go full. It could go to a full fight and Nunez would still win.
Yeah.
Because she's got the gas tank. So I think I'm hoping for an exciting fight. Nunez always has kind of exciting fights, so it'll be fun to watch her take a shot to the face and then just immediately come back with another one. So I don't see any way Duranime wins this fight. And I mean, maybe she'll run off the cage and hit her with like a spinning roundhouse to the jaw, and that might do the trick.
Right, some Showtime Pettis kind of shit.
Exactly.
Look at that.
Like that
shit only works on Benson Henderson.
This is true.
Oh fuck.
So this fight. I hope it's exciting. I don't see it being top of the card. It might be knockout of the night. She might win knockout of the night.
Yeah, definitely performance of the night for a knockout on that potential.
Yeah, there's potential for that. Yeah, I don't see it being fight of the night, anything like that. So this is just Dana clearing the books in kind of a shitty fashion. Like Duranime probably should have gotten it at 145, but she's getting some sort of a shot. So in Dana's books, that'll be good enough.
Yeah, she can't bitch after this, regardless win or lose, because she got a title shot. So
exactly, yeah, she got her shot at Nunez. If you can't beat her at 35, you're probably not going to beat her at 45.
No shit.
When she's just a fucking walking tank. So
No, don't get me wrong. Dreadman's gotten better since their first fight in 2013, but Amanda has come leaps and bounds since then. Not just like little bits. No, she's aggressively made it her life's goal to fuck every woman up that steps in front of her.
Yeah. We might be watching one of the all-time greats.
Very well could be. This could be the one they talk about forever, and could be the Ali of fucking women's fighters here.
Yeah. She's definitely on par to be the women's GOAT. That's for damn sure.
Look, all I'm saying is Drenamine doesn't have a chance in fucking hell here. And I really, really want to play fucking devil's advocate because she did derail the Aspen Lad hype train that really needed to be derailed, which was fantastic in my eyes because you know what? I was sick of hearing Aspen Lad fucking comments.
Look, I'm right there with you. I think that is beyond an undue hype train, but I'm still on the very, very open fuck that was controversial bullshit side of the fence on that one. One punch and Mike Beltran stepped in.
We've had a lot of those this year, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And so that's come up a lot, but it derailed the train, which hey, hats off to you, kudos, whatever.
Right,
you got the W. W is a W, no matter how controversial it is at this point.
True.
All I'm saying is she's not improved enough to even take one, let alone 4 or 5 of those punches that are going to come in a row from Amanda. That chin,
that's what it's going to look like.
I think the only thing that makes it worse is she made a comment this week that Amanda's not going to want to stand and trade with her.
Oh, that's
not
true at all.
Who are you talking to? When you said that, did you put the blinders on? Or did you just stuff a bag of your shit in your mouth and need it to all come out at once because it tasted terrible? So that was the first thing you could say to get it out.
And that's exactly where the photo that's been going around of Nunez all week came from, where she's just kind of smirking like you think I don't want to trade punches with you?
Right.
Let's do this thing.
The only thing that makes it worse is that when they did the challengers interview portion of things this week, how are your feelings going to this? I'm enjoying this right now.
Right, yeah, I'd be a fool not to enjoy this right now.
Yeah, what the fuck? No.
No.
Look, don't get me wrong. I get it. Part of that you do have to enjoy because it might be the last time that you ever do this.
True.
So I get that part of it, but it seems like she's trying to overlook Amanda a little bit by the way she's been talking this week. And I'm going, that's probably the most dangerous thing you can do. Don't get me wrong. Should I see Amanda do this week with the misses? Looks like she's fucking overlooking Trandame as well, but for a very good reason. I mean,
there's a little more allotment on that side of it, I would say.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody does have the crazy puncher's chance, Trandame, with her former fucking kickboxing. It's a very strong possibility she could land something just purely on the record she has from that. But that doesn't always translate well to MMA. But without a doubt, this one does not see 5 rounds. There's no way this even gets out of the third. That's me being generous. I have a feeling Nunes has this finished within 2.
My prediction is not making it out of 1.
Yeah, I really don't see this making to the second round. If it does make it to the second round, I would be willing to bet every penny in my wallet right now. This does not see a 3.
No.
But
call us a bookie.
Right. That, though, will bring us to the point where the more hardcore of us, and even poor Freshie here, has been kind of dragged into the deeper end of the lunacy that is the I'm No Joe fanatical combat sports rage. So this is the point in the show where we kind of take a breath and we sit back and we try and regain our composure and bring our blood pressure back down to non-critical levels. And we take a time to have a little bit more of a non-rabid fan approach and a little thing we like to call our casual corner.
Mm.
And when we do that, we bring in our favorite filthy casual. if she's awake. She is. She is awake. It looks like we've got our favorite filthy casual here, minus the Chewiwi that was trying to put her to sleep. The one and only Miss LUMI.
Dude, there's a video up of Tara trying to put me to sleep.
I saw.
She climbed up inside of my hoodie and was just chilling with her head hanging out, just like, go lay down. Go lay the fuck down.
You've been up too long today already. I don't understand this.
But anyways, it's actually kind of funny because I did my quick casual homework with that Amanda fight.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was coming in for that. So I'll go ahead and do it anyways.
You're more than welcome to talk about that.
I'm more than willing to talk about Amanda Nunez for the rest of the show.
Okay. So while I was looking up this, at first I had a severe hatred because I thought she dropped rose on her neck, and then I realized that was underage. So I went back, I re-inspected, re-evaluated. I've heard the name Amanda Nunez, so I was like, going for her so far. And then I started looking into them. And I know you mentioned it with like a whole wrist surgery thing, but like I was sitting there looking at previous cards, and she'd fight like one fight a year, where Amanda would fight like two fights a year. And that's seems an awful choosy for, like, I just thought she might have been new. No, I went back to 2013 and she's only picking up one fight a year. I don't know why that's going on. So
it's because she's a cop.
I'm rooting for Amanda at that point.
That's enough. Fuck the police.
It's enough. So then we go into Max, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be something.
I hope. I got to see her mount a couple of chicks and punch them. It was painful watching her take out Valentina. That was not fun. I did not expect to see that in the highlight reels. But anyways, then we go to the co-main fight. I really wish this was the main event fight. I honestly didn't even need to look up Alexander, because Max Holloway was one of the first people that I watched when I first came into the casual corner, and I tend to be a very loyal being. Unless people don't accept my tickle fights, then I tend to be like, fuck you. Anyways, so don't have to look up Alexander, going full Max Holloway. And the least exciting fight, Covington versus Usman. I've heard the name Usman or Usman, however you want to pronounce it. I've heard it plenty to know of them. I just didn't bother doing the research because, once again, Kobe Covington has not gotten the STD that I've been praying for, or stricken by lightning. I've been praying. And fuck this fight. Fuck having a tool bag represent your company like that. Fuck them. Fuck them. So, Usman, here we go.
Oh, excellent.
That's one way to go.
I like your takes.
No
I like your takes. I don't know. I don't know how much I want to get into it. How much I want to get into the casual corner, because there's absolutely a reason that Kobe Covington is in the position he's in. There's absolutely a reason. And
that is exactly why we let Miss LUMI give her casual take here, and then we go about and we get back into the rabid fandom.
Yeah. I appreciate your love for Max Holloway.
Absolutely.
Max Holloway is also one of the all-time greats, so I can appreciate that love. He's a fucking impressive fighter, and he's always fun. Always a fun fight, win or lose. So.
Well, thank you very much for your casuality, Miss LUMI. We appreciate you.
My favorite segment. I think it's actually the only segment on the show. My favorite segment.
I don't know, casual corner. The meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes. I'm going to let you get back to your meat, and potato, meat.
Well, and on that note, that is going to bring us directly into the au revoir that is our potato side dish here, the co-main event of this weekend's upcoming card. One Max Bless Holloway versus Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Now, this is a very polarizing, I think is the right word, fight. This is a situation where we have got undeniably the best 145-pound fighter the UFC has ever seen. Not only has he established his own dominance, he has dispatched with great ease, not once but twice, the prior greatest 145er that we had known.
Yeah.
We know at some point he's going to be leaving 145 and going up to 155, even though his last venture there didn't quite go the way he planned. That's a whole different conversation for a whole different day. But we know eventually Max is leaving 145 and going up to 55. But while he is here, you better not fucking turn the other cheek on that man, because the Blessed Express has literally come through and fucking rolled over everyone who has gotten in front of it, including the King of Rio himself twice, handily. So the thing is, Alexander Volkanovski is not a terrible fighter by any stretch of the imagination. He is not a soup can, and he is not to be overlooked. The problem is the caliber of fighters that he beat on his way to this, in my opinion, undeserved title shot aren't the same caliber of fighters that Max has had to deal with on his road up and on his journey to stay as the king of that division. I understand that that Alex rather is fighting and training with some fucking killers down in Australia, and he's absolutely putting the work in. But we have seen time and time again that putting the work in doesn't guarantee you get the W. Just because you get to the dance doesn't mean you come home with the crown. And this is one of those situations where, even though I have nothing against Alexander whatsoever, I think he's a pretty goddamn good fighter. He's pretty eloquent on the microphone. He doesn't talk stupid shit. He's not out running cars into pregnant chicks or doing lines of blow off strippers' asses. So you can't really hate his out of octagon shenanigans that much. But in my opinion, he just hasn't put the time in. He hasn't paid the dues to the level that he should have in such a fucking extreme situation that is getting in the octagon against Max Holloway. Yeah. Even though Alexander has the strength and he has the movement, he's got the striking that will make it a very interesting matchup. This is not going to be a first round fight by any stretch of the imagination. But the problem is Alexander is not one of those guys that gets better as the fight goes on. He's not one of those guys that's harder to beat in the fourth round than he is in the second. And that's exactly what he's stepping in there against. Yes, he's going to come in and have more power than Max right out the gate. But the problem is Max not there to fight you with power. Max is there to fight you consistently with an 8.9 strike per second average for 5 full rounds. He's hitting you 8 to 9 times per second from the time that opening bell goes to the time that closing bell goes, or the time that you tap the fuck out or get stopped. He doesn't let off the gas. If anything, he gets more intense as the fight goes on. He might start at a nice leisurely pace just to see what you're doing. And then you realize that he's getting faster and he's staying closer to you and he's hitting you with 4-shot combinations and 5-shot combinations now. And he's doing body work and letting you with that head. He's getting you with the head and then laying it into the body. He's throwing leg kicks that you didn't even realize that he could throw. And then by the time you realize you're just so fucking overwhelmed, here comes that hard shot out of nowhere and you're on your ass. Ask Jose. Happened twice.
Yep.
I think Alexander absolutely stands a puncher's chance, much like Jermaine Durandame. But much like Jermaine Durandame, I don't feel like he's on the level of the champ that he's going up against, and I don't see any way that he takes this belt home Saturday night. I think the Blessed Express rolls on through Vegas, and they add another gemstone to Max's Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree. I mean, the one shot I see that Volkanovski has here is if he gets a takedown and he starts working the ground. That's his only chance. That's his only chance. But it just doesn't happen. Like people go for takedowns, and next thing you know, they've taken like 12 shots. So I mean, it just gets shunted right to the mat.
Right.
And then you sit there and you look at him, and Max is like, let's do this thing. Holloway's been around forever and he's fucking incredible. I don't think this is the guy. I think Volkanovski has potential to give him more trouble than we think. Especially if he lands a hard shot at the beginning, it might make him back off just a little bit, and then it might slow the express down for a second. But I just don't see it lasting the full fight. Like you can't throw the sort of power that he throws for the whole fight. Like you've got a couple shots. You got to pick and choose your place, but and then go for that takedown if you don't knock him the fuck out. Like that's your two chances. And I don't see Holloway like this. I just don't see this. I see him giving a little bit more trouble than we're giving him credit for, but I don't think this fight's. I don't know. It's not going all the way. I just don't see it. I don't think Volkanovski has the gas tank for it. I think Max is just going to work the body, work the legs like he does. Just keeps coming, and there's just not a lot you can do about it. He's a once in a generation fighter that has the ability to do what he does. Like there's nobody else like Max Holloway. He's entertaining as hell. Yeah, I like Volkanovski. I think in another year or two.
Yeah, a little more experience.
Yeah.
I think he's absolutely like the way that I look at it is when Max leaves 45, Alex is going to be a serious problem for anybody looking at the belt.
Absolutely.
Right now, maybe not quite yet.
Yeah. I think his one advantage is he's a little bit, not a little bit. He's a lot better grappler, but yeah, I don't see being a grappler makes all that much difference against Max Holloway. It hasn't up to this point. Yep. So what's this? Unless coming off the fucking loss that he did, like he took some damage that we don't know about.
Look, even with that, he was at 155 fighting Poirier. He had beaten Poirier previously at 145.
Yeah. And
for him, that was just stepping up a weight class to see if he could get the interim champ thing. Yeah. I don't think he took that quite as seriously as he does his 145-pound belt because this is his division. Now, seeing he's not as good of a grappler, I don't even know that I can say that. He's got a very strong Gracie Jiu-Jitsu camp there that he uses. So maybe on the wrestling side of it, not quite as strong. But once it gets down to the nitty-gritty where the BJJ gets into play, I think he'll hold his own just fine there. And we don't ever see him stay on the mat long anyways. I think key for Holloway on this one is going to be just like every other fight that he's been in lately. Stay on that bike. He's going to take a couple shots. Look, we've seen people hit him with power punches. We watched Poirier hit him with power punches that look like that could be fight enders. And what did he do? Walked through him. He may have lost that fight, but he walked through him and kept on going.
Yeah.
Look, you have to hit that motherfucker with a Mack truck, apparently, to really do any sort of big-time damage. And to be honest, right now, Volkanovski, he's got knockout power. We've seen it, but I don't think it's the right kind for Max. It's different for the other fighters that are in that division. I mean, he went to a fucking decision win, and albeit a slim decision win, over fucking Aldo in his last fight.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to use little MMA math here, and I hate to do it because a lot of time MMA math don't work, but at this point I can. Max finished Aldo not once, but twice.
Handily.
Finished him handily. Made him look horrid. Volkanovski, a decision's not going to get it done here.
No.
You to beat him, to take that belt, you have to put him away. You are not going to win a decision. Not with the amount of output, not how well Max rides the bike, he's putting the output. He's going to fucking overwork your ass into the ground. He may not finish you. Because we haven't seen fucking many people do very much damage to Volkanovski at all. So he might not get finished. But what I can guarantee is he will not outlast him in the gas tank section.
No.
Look, Volkanovski, if I'm gonna make kind of a little bit of comparison here, Volkanovski reminds me of a little better gas tank Conor McGregor, without the fucking gapping at the jaw.
Fairly similar, yeah.
Yeah,
he has the fast twitch knockout power.
Yep.
But those fast twitch muscles consume a lot more oxygen
Yes, they do.
than what fucking Holloway is doing with that slow, easy, just pap, touch. It adds up. Look, there's diminishing returns in this game. Just like getting knocked out, it goes with punches while you're punching. Your punches at the beginning of the fight are always going to be a lot stiffer than they are at the end. And with somebody like Max, who doesn't use a lot of force as he's punching, his diminishing returns are nowhere near as bad as what Volkanovski's are. Volkanovski, when you see him throw, he throws with bad intentions.
Yes, he does.
Albeit, his bad intentions that he throws are a lot better than a lot of the haymakers I see from other fighters.
True. Very true. He's got crisp striking. That's one of the big things that's going to make this interesting is that not only does Volkanovski have legitimate power, he's got pretty decent striking. The problem is Max can hold that very decent striking at a consistent pace or turn it up for 5 whole rounds without blinking, and we know Alex cannot.
And I'll say it even this way. Look, to be honest, I think Volkanovski's striking is right on par with fucking Brian Ortega's.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison.
They're very similar in the way that they're very boxing orientated. Look, we watched what happened to Ortega, and we all thought Ortega had a fantastic chance. Ortega even tried to get it to the ground and couldn't do so. And he's a premier fucking takedown and fucking submission artist when it comes to that.
He was the first one I thought had a legitimate chance to take that belt from Max. And look how wrong I got fucking proven.
Yeah, he got dismantled. But these two, the way that I look at their boxing, they look very similar in their boxing style. The only difference is I would have to say there's a little more power in Volkanovski's hands. I can't say by much because, I mean, we did watch fucking T-City KO fucking Edgar for the first time ever in his fucking career.
That's right.
The only man to ever
you can't
do
overlook
it.
that. Yeah, you can't overlook that fact.
So if we're looking at MMA math here, everything from Aldo to T-City and all that, that's all leaning in fucking Max's favor here. And just to know the kind of work that man puts in going into this. And I think, to be honest, what most of his driving force is, I think it's the old young blessed there. His son, because you know what? That man, every time his son's around, he's always worried about what his son sees, what his son's going to think of his dad. That was like after that Poirier fight.
Yep.
The first thing he did, he's like, I'm okay, don't worry.
I was actually talking to my wife about that exact subject today because if you've been watching The Embedded, Max, for the first time, and I can't remember how long, Max flew out to Vegas for fight week by himself, just Max and the team. They spent the entire week training today, Thursday, today's episode. Max's son, his wife, and his cousin flew out to join him. The night before weigh-ins, the family came in. Max is taking this fight way more seriously than he has in a long time. Mini Bless is still there, but he wasn't there to do his dancing in the open workouts and shit. Max is focused now, and that's a problem for anybody.
Yeah.
And when you're laser focused like that, that's big time dangerous because it's not like after that Poirier fight, everybody's like, oh my God, he's done. No, he's not fucking done. He went up a weight class to a class he's never fought at.
Yeah.
Look, he thought he could take Poirier because he'd beaten Poirier previously. But it didn't work out that way because Poirier had gotten a lot fucking better and also bulked up in size.
A lot.
And in both categories, he got phenomenally better and all that, albeit I'm not a fan of his latest shenanigans, but that's neither here nor there because we're not talking about him. But right now, the way this stands, I could definitely see Bless finishing this fight, but there's no way that Volkanovski can win a decision in this. If he doesn't knock him out, he doesn't win.
Yeah.
Period.
I agree completely. He's got to knock Max out. Yeah, 100%.
You're not going to ground and pound the guy out because you're not going to keep him on the ground. We've seen him get up and take downs quick, fast, and in a hurry. This is, the Blessed Express is getting another Infinity Stone in that gauntlet and just add that some bitch up.
Right. Well, and the other thing is as good as Alex's grappling is, his BJJ is shit. And we've seen time and time again, Wrestling might get you to the ground, but BJJ rules it once it's there. Ask Ben Askren how wrestling versus fucking BJJ goes. No matter how confident you are, no matter what level wrestler you are, if you go up against a BJJ guy with fucking knowledge and Max has fucking jiu-jitsu knowledge, that wrestling will not overtake that jiu-jitsu. So realistically, a fucking knockout is the only chance I think that Volkanovski has of taking that belt. And Max is too smart to give it to him easy. So if he gets it, he's going to absolutely earn that fucking belt. That's for damn sure.
And he's going to have to give it everything he's got in order to do that.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to say, but that Christmas present you've been talking about all week, it ain't going home with you, dude.
I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be under
I
his
have
tree.
nothing. Look, and I have nothing but respect for Volkanovski because he's been nothing but respectful. No
Absolutely.
fucking, no dragging shit through the mud. Nothing. He's just been. And the other thing that I do have a lot of respect for, he has had his mind on the prize the entire time. Not like a lot of these other fighters that we've been talking about today. He's been sole mission, but dude, you're literally getting thrown in behind enemy lines with no fucking weapons.
It's not an easy case for sure.
No.
But with that wrapped up, that leads us to the grizzly 6.5 ounce charged as a 12-ounce steak that is the meat and potatoes this fucking episode. I like the card overall. I think my biggest problem with this card is the fucking main event. And I know LUMI agrees with me. I've talked to several other people who all agree with me as well. If they would have literally reversed the 3 title fights, it would have been just fine. Just fine. Let Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington is the fight we're talking about. Let that fight be the first of the 3 title fights to kind of get that bad taste in everyone's mouth before they bring him that piece of ginger and then the good sushi. That is the closeout. In this situation here, we kind of got that the other way around. We got the delicious meal. We got a great piece of dessert. We got a little piece of ginger, and then they shit on our plate and forced it on our tongue. We are getting 2 of the most undeserved title shot contenders I have seen in a long time, headlining the last biggest card of the year for the UFC. I don't believe for a fucking second that Colby Covington deserves to be in this situation. The problem is neither does Kamaru Usman, but Tyron Woodley decided that he was going to take the fucking day off and only headhunt instead of showcasing the skills we know that he has. And now we have no choice but to watch Marty from Nebraska wrestle the fake MAGA moron. The problem is, regardless of which one of these dipshits wins, one of them still gets the fucking belt at the end of the night.
Yep.
Best case scenario, in my opinion, for me anyway, best case scenario, Colby gets the shit beat out of him. There's a decision victory. It goes to Kamaru. He keeps the belt. Colby's going to get kicked down the line now because you've got a laundry list of people who are just chomping at the bit. Aluminum Mike is right there. Robbie Lawler wants that fucking run back. Jorge Masvidal, the former fucking teammate, would love to smash that fucking idiot's face in. There's a whole caveat of people who are just foaming at the mouth, waiting for Colby to fall off this fucking mountain and let them just chop him the way the fuck out of the UFC. The problem is, if he wins, we will never hear the end of this 100% WWE style, fake as can fucking be, MAGA persona that Colby has created. And on one hand, I will say this. I don't agree with it, but I can see where going from getting ready to get cut because you're a fucking loser and you're as exciting as a wet blanket to turning on this Chael Sonnen on steroids style WWE persona might keep you in the UFC. The problem is, at this point in the game, Colby can't separate the two anymore. Anyone who knows Colby, anyone who's talked to him or done behind the scenes work or seen him before this whole fucking MAGA Trump bullshit came about knows that that's not him. People who have known him for a decade will tell you flat out the second the fucking camera light turns off, He's not that guy. He puts on that suit. He puts on that act because he knows it riles people up, and it kept him from getting cut because he's a fucking boring fighter. The one thing I will say in Colby Covington's behalf is he's got a little thing right here on his shoulder that TJ and I talk about all the time, and it is the equivalent of a Gracie triangle. He has that USA Wrestling stamp right there on his back shoulder to let you know that before this shenanigan of a fucking act that he put on came to be, he was a legitimate D1 All-American wrestler. The problem is he gets so in his head, he doesn't think to use his wrestling. And then when he does use his wrestling, he only uses it in the short term. Colby Covington has the caliber of wrestling Ben Askren should have been displaying instead of running his mouth and all that boom roasted bullshit. Colby is really that good of a wrestler, or was. But now he's convinced because of all this bullshit that he can stand and bang with guys. He can stand and trade with guys. And he just doesn't have the power to do that. And he doesn't have the fight IQ to be able to wrap that all up. Now, the other problem is that Kamaru, while a D2 wrestler, not quite the D1, but still respectable on the greater scheme of wrestling, while he's got that ability to wrestle, he also has striking, but more power, and has demonstrated that he's got more power in the striking zone than Colby does. So if this does come to an actual striking match, all signs point to Kamaru. But at the end of the day, we're stuck choosing between a douche and a turd sandwich. Either way we go, nobody's happy with the outcome. If I'm forced to make a pick here, though, I will say, based on the skills we have seen, not had them talk about, based on what we have seen between these two fucking idiots, I will say I give a 30% edge to Kamaru Usman.
I'm inclined to agree with that, just based on striking power. I mean, you touched on it. I mean, the reason they're main eventing is because of fucking Colby Covington. The douchebag persona, like, people will pay to watch him get his ass beat.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's it. Like, I don't like, he's a douche canoe in this character. I don't know. I think he's a boring motherfucker, even in his douche canoe persona. The problem is fucking Usman's kind of a boring motherfucker too. So neither of them really have the personality to carry what they're doing. I understand the WWE persona that he's going for. You know, the Ultimate Warrior thing it'll get you a shot at the fucking world title at WrestleMania 3. Like,
yeah.
Like, you may be a god awful wrestler. Neither of these guys are god awful wrestlers. They're both actually pretty fantastic wrestlers. But yeah, I mean, it'll get you your shot. And if I was him, I would run it as far as I could. I'd run this persona as far as I fucking can, because you'll keep getting fights, you'll keep getting shots. It's just the way this goes. Yeah, because Dana sees the dollar signs with you. I mean, look at their interviews with each other, though. God, they're awful, aren't they?
They really are. Well, and the fact that Colby has actually come out and said that he will sue if he wins and Dana White puts the belt around his waist. Come on, dude. Like,
yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's the showmanship. I mean, fucking McGregor does the same thing, just way fucking better. That's
what I was going to say, though. McGregor's good at it. He's entertaining at it.
Yeah. Colby Covington is a boring guy wearing a fucking Ultimate Warrior mask out to the ring. It's just,
basically,
yeah. And I think, I mean, these two are kind of mirrors to each other. Like, their styles are so fucking similar.
Yep.
You know, two pretty good wrestlers get in the ring, they're gonna fucking kickbox for the whole time. Like,
basically, and that's the thing I think that a lot of people are afraid of, is that you've got guys who both know they can wrestle, and we're not going to see any wrestling. They're both going to try and do everything but wrestling, which none of them are really good at.
Yeah, like they both know that they know the counters to each other. Like they don't, like, they train like they brought that up multiple times, but they both did. Like, they both trained like 20 miles from each other.
Yep.
Like there's no way there's no overlap with these two. They know each other. They know each other. They know their styles. I think this is going to be probably the most boring fight on the fucking card. At least the main card. I don't particularly like either fighter. Usman, at least he's got the striking power. Like he's got way more power than Kobe Covington. And Kobe Covington's he's more of a volume guy. But yeah, I see them not taking advantage of the skills that they have and just trading blows, which I mean can be entertaining, but when you're looking for the strategy and you love watching someone try and work a submission or work into a ground and pound on somebody, like that's what you pay to see. And both of these guys they're both capable, I think, of so much more than they've actually displayed over the course of their fights. Usman leaves he seems like a boring guy too, though. Like his interviews are fucking boring, and the only reason this is at the top of the card is Kobe Covington's mega bullshit, where he's going to take the title and lay it on the president's desk. Like, we get it. People don't like Donald Trump. I fucking get it. So I really don't think he likes Donald Trump either. So I think it's a way to keep relevant, and it's gotten him this far. And ride it, motherfucker. Ride it as far as you can.
Better take that motherfucker to the shore at this point. Ride that ship till it crashes.
Yeah, ride that fucker right into that reef, just as hard as you fucking can, man. So, yeah, I'll give credit where credit's due. I mean, that's fucking came out of nowhere with this bullshit. He's been working it, and it's worked. And he's gotten to the top of arguably the biggest card of the year. So. Good for him. I mean, I don't know that I'll pay much attention to the fight because I anticipate seeing two clumsy dudes trying to throw kicks and punches when they should be trying to work the fucking ground and set things up, but they're not going to. I just don't see it. I see them both thinking that the other one knows what he's going to do, and so they'll just trade blows, kind of half-assed.
Yeah, this would be the point in the night where you can probably just put the TV on mute and start to meander and, associate with your guests and hang out like the rest of the party will be.
Exactly. So
check the dip status.
Yeah, exactly. Do we have any more spinach dip? Oh man, I might have to run to the store.
Yeah, I better go get some. It'll be
Usman versus Covington's on. Oh, I'm cool. I can take that 20 minutes trip to the store and we'll come back. But yeah, I don't see this be. I hope they prove me wrong. I hope this is entertaining as shit, but I just don't see it with these two. I wholeheartedly agree. This should have been in the middle of the card. Get this out of the way, and then let Nunez just beat the shit out of Jermaine. Just like that. It would be so much better order. This fight has to happen. It has to. At some point, just not where it's at, not on the biggest card of the year. Anyway, that's what I got. That's why Kobe Covington's either a douche canoe or very good at playing one on TV, and he's very good at playing one on TV.
I'm going to make this very clear before I say anything else, because I'm probably going to piss some people off here, and I'm perfectly all right with that.
Let's argue, motherfucker.
I do not like either one of these motherfuckers.
I don't either.
All right?
Unanimous.
But the most interesting part of all of this, for this entire fight, has nothing to do with the actual fight itself. It has to do with the persona. To be honest, I fucking love the persona that Kobe Covington is doing. I don't like him, but I love it. Do you know why? Because it's going to sell. Love him or hate him.
Yep.
He's kind of like Donald Trump in this aspect. You're going to pay to see what the fuck happens with this motherfucker. You're going to tune in. Best thing in the fucking world. Whether you like it or not, guess what? If this is the fight that sold you on it because you wanted to see him get his ass kicked, good. He's doing his job. If you wanted to tune into this fight because you like what he has to say in his persona and you want to see him win and it sold the fight, he's doing his fucking job. Like him, hate him, doesn't fucking matter. he did his fucking job, whether it's running his mouth with a fake persona or not. The one thing I will give him, though, I did like in his little stylish little fucking American flag fucking jacket there that he had going on. Not gonna lie, I was kind of into that. I would rock that. You guys don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch Embedded. You'll see what I was talking about. It was on there. But no, that was fantastic. This whole I'm going to be the asshole, fuck you, wear my MAGA hat everywhere, whatever, dude. I don't care which president you fucking support or which presidential candidate. I honestly don't give a fuck. Look, I disagree with a lot of my friends on politics, and it doesn't matter because it doesn't make or break me. But god damn it, right now in this fucking day and age, this hits so many fucking nerves through people, and it's fantastic to see because I like watching people squirm over dumb shit.
Yeah.
Because it's look, you can vote, call it a day, whatever. But he's using that to his advantage, and you know what? That's smart marketing. Period.
Yep.
Look,
it's the American way.
In this kind of business, any publicity is good publicity. Period. You're in the fight game. Your job is to sell fights. Whether it's for good, bad, indifference, it doesn't matter. You sell the fight, you're winning. Now, on the other side, this jag-off fucking Kamaru Usman as well. Marty from Nebraska, I only give 33% Usman.
He's a prop.
Shitbag. Complete and utter fucking shitbag. For this reason. And he's been doing it again, even this week. And look, I don't know how neither one of you touched on this. All of the interviews he's had this week, he's completely overlooking Kobe. Stupid motherfucker. Period. You don't overlook him. Look, whether Kobe is a boring fighter or not, he's been on a 7-fight win streak. 7-fight win streak. Whether they were exciting fights or not, they're W's. A lot of them went to decision. Look, but so have Kamaru's. Kamaru's had 50% of his fights go to fucking decision, as has Kobe's. Guess what? So they're not finishers. Yes, they both finished fights relatively recently. Kobe dominated the fuck out of somebody we thought that was going to beat the fuck out of him in his most recent fight. So I have nothing bad to say on that.
He paid for it.
Whatever you got to say, Casual. You keep your filthy ass in the corner right now. Just saying, that motherfucker, they both paid their dues to get where they're at, albeit I don't think they both belong at this peak or in this sort of spotlight. Although, because the spotlight sells, it is what it is. Like I said, might make some people mad here, and I honestly don't give a fuck. Let's say this. Kamaru's wrestling not as good as everybody makes it out to be. Kobe has wrestling that is much greater than what has everybody seen because he thinks he's a fucking striker all of a sudden.
Yep.
Which, look, don't get me wrong. Over the course of his last fucking 70 fights, you've definitely seen great progression in it. I mean, look at his last fight. He dominated standing up. He really did. And I have to tip my hat to him because against Robbie Lawler, that's no small task.
No.
Well, and he addressed that in the Embedded, is that he's specifically been working with a striking coach from Brazil who he actually flew into Vegas this week and was working with him at the PI today.
Oh, I caught that. I'm just saying, it's impressive that it's gotten that far.
Mm-hmm.
Kamaru does have knockout power, though. We've seen that. Unfortunately, he won a title from T. Wood. And not that I'm a fan of T. Woodley, but I like T. Woodley much better than I like these two cocksuckers.
Yes.
Look, Kobe, drop the act, go back to being you. I mean, well, no, don't do that. Please don't do that.
No, keep
this up. Because you know what? Please keep it up. Whether people know it's fake or not, it doesn't matter. It's selling your fights. You're making money. Make that fucking money because you know what? The fight game don't last forever. You don't know how long you got it for.
True.
So keep doing what you're doing as long as it's working. To be quite honest, I don't want to see Kobe lose this fight. Do you know why?
Be good for
because
the
it's going to piss a lot of fuckers off if he wins and goes and drops this on President Trump's desk. Who gives a fuck whose desk he drops that title on? It doesn't matter. He can drop it on the fucking principal of the local elementary school's desk. Not going to affect my life in one way, shape, or form. Period. You know what? The other reason I would like to see him win over Kamaru, that whole I only give 33%. I've been dying for that chance to say, this is what you get for only giving 33%, you dumb fucking bastard.
Right.
I've been dying for it. I really thought that was going to happen in the T-Wood fight, but it did not. I was so fucking let down because somebody wanted to be a dumbass and just headhunt when he's a much better wrestler than even Kamaru is.
Yep.
But
yeah, no, Woodley absolutely gave that fight away, 100%. And I'm not a Woodley fan. I think Ty Quill is about the least entertaining fucking champion we had in a long time, but he's night and day better than fucking Kamaru was. Whatever.
And now, there's the one part where I will say I'm inclined to agree with both of you on this. I don't see this fight going to the ground. Not because of wrestling or them choosing to take it there. They're going to want to kicky-punchy it out.
Yep.
And neither one of them have crisp boxing skills. Neither one of them have crisp kicking skills of any sort. To be honest, at best, they're middle-of-the-line fighters if they were only had stand-up game. And I say middle-of-the-line, they might crack top 10 with the punching skills that they have. But they're both fucking terrible. Now, if it does end up getting into a wrestling match, I'll say it. Colby wins that hands down fucking 9 times out of 10. In fact, I'll say 99 times out of 100, not 9 times out of 10. Because, look, there's a big difference between getting a D1 scholarship and a D2 when it comes to wrestling.
Yep.
Fucking massive. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of D2 wrestlers out there that should have been D1 wrestlers.
Absolutely.
Just like any other athlete.
Yeah.
Kamaru is not that person, though.
Nope.
Don't get me wrong. Yes, he's probably got a much different work ethic because he's an immigrant. His family are immigrants, and Kobe coming from the States, look.
Spoiler rich asshole his whole fucking life.
Look, it's though. Let me say this just so that way I can get it out of the way. The privilege. It's being privileged. Look, we grew up in the United States. We're privileged. It is what it is. Yes, I'm privileged. Anybody who grew up in the fucking United States is privileged. Whether you came from a poor family or not, you're privileged because why? You grew up in the fucking USA.
Yep.
Period. But this fight is, to be honest, the only thing that makes it worthwhile is the build-up. That's it. And that's just to see what kind of dumb shit each other is going to say about it. And the only reason I say Kamaru doesn't win this fight is because from the way that he's been interviewing this week, he's looking past Colby. And that's a cardinal error. In fact, I wouldn't doubt if we see the Bruce Buffer curse here and he decides to fist bump Buffer before the fight and then end up getting beat because of that. Although, God only knows, and to be honest, I dislike Kamaru more than I dislike Colby. And I don't know why that is, but I really fucking do. That dude is, to me, look, don't get me wrong, it was all heartfelt and shit when he won his belt and handed it to his parents. That was fantastic. Look, you credit where credit's due, the family that raised you. However, at the same time, when you go back and you're watching all of his interviews from this week, my parents didn't know I was boxing and doing wrestling.
Right.
I was in my, what the fuck? How did your parents not know? What kind of shitty family did you come from?
Right.
Why
Yeah,
were you hiding shit from that?
Yeah, there was a lot of weirdness in his whole talking about his upbringing this week.
Yeah. So that was a little weird. So that added a little fuel to my fire. At least Colby, I know he came from just a normal, privileged white family in fucking Oregon. But he also put in the work and effort to earn that USA wrestling tattoo. That's not something that look, anybody can go get the tattoo, but most people are not because earning it's different. Somebody who sees you with that, they're going to expect certain things. And if you don't fit that criteria, they're going to call you out. That's like fucking getting the fucking Gracie triangle put on you.
Yep.
Guess what? You're going to get called out quick, fast, in a hurry if you're wrong. So people don't do shit like that. Don't get me wrong. We can get into the whole stolen valor type thing argument, but it's not even fucking worth my time at this point. All I'm saying is I'm going to have to say it just so I can piss some people off here. I'm Team Colby on this one. Not because I like him, but just because I like the persona and how bad it pisses people off, because people are so goddamn soft nowadays that they can't manage to deal with, oh my God, he said MAGA. Fuck off with that bullshit. Yes, that's right. I'm talking about you, snowflake.
I will say the amount of fucking just vitriol and hatred I have seen online for him since they did the media scrum and they split it half and half, which was very smart on their part. But when they did the challenger section and he came out in that fucking cheap suit with the Trump 2020 shirt and the Trump hat on his knee and then pretended like he was reading the Trump Jr. book instead of answering questions, I get it, because that just doubled the fucking pay-per-view sales strictly on the people who want to see him get his fucking skull stomped across the fucking ring.
Yeah.
I get it. I think the only thing I will say about that is that at least with Kamaru, he has been that same detestable douchebag since he was on The Ultimate Fighter, because he was walking around the Ultimate Fighter house talking about, I'm the nightmare, I'm a problem. So even when he was still a nobody, he was a mouthy dipshit nobody. Colby was just an uneventful moron until he flipped this fucking MAGA switch that has gotten him all the attention. So at least we know Kamaru is a true asshole, and that's who he is.
So the plus side, look, he's a true asshole who only gives 33%. He said it himself on more than one occasion.
Absolutely.
However, Colby found the right fucking audience. Kamaru did not. When I say he found the right audience, he knew what was going to... Wait a minute, let me say this because I know this is going to get more people triggered them. And he's doing a fantastic job at it. Look, everybody needs a fucking villain. Look, the UFC has been long overdue for a good villain. Period. They need a bad guy. Unfortunately, Chael Sonnen is no longer that guy. He's being nice doing his podcast. And I love Chael Sonnen because he was honest from the get-go being the fucking bad guy. He didn't care. Now that we didn't have the bad guy anymore, somebody had to step in his place. Whether it's persona or not, guess what? Colby wins this. He doesn't win it. He loses a couple more fights. Guess what? He's got an instant spot in the WWE. Guarantee.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been watching wrestling long enough. I can appreciate a good heel.
That's it. And that's the thing is he's playing it to the fucking T right now. And it's pissing people off, and I think that's the only thing that makes me like it, is because I like seeing people pissed off over shit that really has no effect on your life. So please, be pissed off by him, so I can laugh at you some more for being a dipshit about some shit that's not affecting you in any way, shape, or form.
I agree profusely. But that's going to wrap up our 245 coverage. I will say real quick, I completely forgotten because of the way that I wrote my notes, and I sometimes have to jump back and forth between recent events and things that I'm working on for the card. I did miss one thing that we actually were talking about a little bit pre-show that I wanted to mention in the news and recent events, and I didn't get a chance to, so I will say it now because it doesn't matter either way. Tonight, actually, before we were getting ready to start, it was actually already on. So I would encourage everyone, once this is over, if you're watching with us live, if not, go take a peek afterwards. The quintet competition is officially going on, and this quintet is quintet organization versus organization. It is Team UFC, Team WEC, Team Strike Force, and Team Pride in a 5-man, not at a time, 5-man team.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
I know. We've talked about that too. Just that would be cool too. But this one is 5-man. It's one-on-one 5-man teams. Whoever is in there wrestles until they get beat, and then the next person from the other team, and so on until one team has come out victorious and it's tournament style. So it's excellent for those of you who want to get a little more into the grappling, get a little more into the submission side of it without focusing so much on the striking, because it's very much like an EBI or a submission underground. This is not striking. This isn't combat jujitsu. This is just pure physical skill without the striking. So I would absolutely encourage everyone, because the names that are on this competition, on all 5 teams, are absolute noteworthy names. There are no slouches in any team in this competition. So I would absolutely advocate for anybody who is a fan of this to go and take a look at that. It is actually on YouTube as well. So it's not one of those things you're going to have to order fucking DAZN or give ESPN Plus $5 a month to go see. This is straight up just on YouTube. So I would absolutely advocate everyone to go and see that. But before we get out of here, I would like to take a moment here and go around and first and foremost thank the freshest motherfucker I know for coming along and being a part of our shenanigans here. And if folks just have not gotten enough and they need to get a little more fresh in their life, how is going to be the easiest way for them to find you, sir?
YouTube.com/fresh03. That is the easiest way to find me. I'm live usually at least 3 times a week. Yeah, I'm easy to find. I'm on everybody's shows. So it's what I do. It's what I do. I hop into shows, and I had a blast. Thanks for having me, Meter.
Well, I had a great time having you, and I absolutely appreciate your time. You are more than welcome to come back anytime you like, sir.
Anytime you need me, man. Give me that short notice fight, man.
Absolutely. And then if for some reason someone thinks that Green Bay isn't going to cost them some money this year, I'm not saying it, I'm saying if someone else does, how would they go about getting a hold of you, Mr. Golf T Vapes?
Wednesday nights, right here, this channel, 9:30 Central Time here, and I'm here on Thursdays, like clockwork. You guys can't miss me. And you can find me on the Instagrams, but I don't post there. You can definitely DM me, and I'll get back to you eventually. It'll just be probably 6 to 8 hours down the line, because I don't check it all the time. But one other thing I did want to leave a note on here, because I didn't mention it in the news or anything like this. And it's not really a news thing, but happy birthday to an OG, Hoist Gracie, today.
Ooh,
absolutely, absolutely, the Triangle Legend himself. So that being said, that is all we have for this particular episode, folks. So remember, if we made you giggle, if we made you smile, if we gave you a point of view you didn't have before the show started, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. If we really tickled your funny bone, share an episode. We're trying to grow this damn thing. On the other side of that coin, if we're just a couple of dumbasses sitting around camera talking about something we don't know anything about, give us a thumbs down. I won't dispute it, and we earned it. But if you are inclined to help out, we also have the link down below for the Patreon. That's right. I Am No Joe officially has a Patreon now. There are all sorts of interesting things, and you can contribute as little as $1. Yes, there is a $1 platform on the Patreon here. So if you just want to be that guy, I'm cool with that. Hop on board. If you're one of those people you don't fancy Patreon because you don't like them getting a cut, there's a direct PayPal link down there you can use as well. We also now have some merch for the meter. The new and improved meter merch is now available. That link is down below as well. The link for the Sunday show, the What Did I Say show, where I do all the recaps. We will be doing one this weekend for, I'm sure, some interesting news to cover back over what happened. This one is down below as well. I will see all of you fine folks Sunday evening, afternoon-ish over there for all those recaps. If you don't want that one will be uploaded to YouTube as well, but you got to wait till Tuesday to see those. So with that being said, I really don't have a whole lot else for you. Thank you everyone who tuned in, whether you were here with us live or you're catching a recap. We're going to call that all for this evening. So remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless you still somehow think that Epstein killed himself. Have a great night, folks.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert timing. There were funky Chinamen from funky Chinatown. They were chopping them up, they were chopping them down. It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part. From a fainting to a slip, and a kicking from the hip, everybody was